What if I told you there's a way to make your mind so calm, so strong, that no betrayal, no failure, no loss could ever break you? There's a quiet power that most people never discover. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it doesn't need to shout because it never breaks. It's the kind of strength that comes from inside, not from muscles, money, or followers, but from something far deeper. This is the power of Stoicism. And today, I'll show you how to train your mind until nothing can break you. Not grief, not heartbreak, not fear, nothing. Most people live their entire lives reacting. They get mad when someone cuts them off. They panic when plans fall apart. They get crushed when someone leaves. They waste years trying to fix the world. When the real battle was always inside their own mind, they think, if I just had more money, more love, more control, then I'd finally feel okay. But no matter what they gain, they still break when life hits them because they've trained everything except the one thing that truly matters: their mind. So, how do you train your mind until it becomes unshakable? That's what this video is about, and we'll do it the way the Stoics did. Not with fluff, but with real stories. Stories that cut deep, stories that show what it means to be tested and still stand strong. The emperor who lost everything, Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a philosopher. He was the emperor of the Roman Empire, the most powerful man in the world on paper. But his life, it was chaos. He lost 8 children. He fought a brutal war for over a decade. He was betrayed by his closest allies. He ruled during a deadly plague, and every single day he wrote in his journal. Not to complain, but to remind himself, control what you can. Let go of what you can't. Imagine that you're losing your children, your empire is burning, and instead of screaming, you write, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's not a quote for a poster. That's something he lived. He didn't control the war, or the deaths, or the betrayal. He trained the one thing he could control, his own response. And in doing that, he became unbreakable. You see, people today will break down because they didn't get enough likes. Meanwhile, Marcus lost children and buried friends, and reminded himself to be calm, to be rational, to stay in control. He taught himself to see every pain as a chance to get stronger. The slave who became free, Epictetus. Epictetus was born a slave. He had no money, no freedom, no choices. His master was cruel. He broke Epictetus's leg just for fun. And yet, Epictetus said this: we suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. Let that sink in. A man who had every reason to be bitter refused to be. He believed that your circumstances aren't what define you. It's your mindset. Epictetus didn't waste time wishing the world was fair. He focused on one thing: how to live with wisdom, no matter what was happening. Even when he was limping, even when he was powerless, he was free, because he owned the one thing no one could take from him: his mind. Years later, he became a teacher. He taught Roman elites how to handle suffering, and they listened, because here was a man who had suffered everything and still kept his peace. That's real strength, not the strength to lift weights, the strength to not let hate control you, to not let pain blind you, to not let anger steal your calm. The boxer who chose discipline. Story of a fighter. Let's step out of ancient Rome for a second. This story's about a modern fighter. Real guy, not a stoic by name, but by action. He grew up in a rough neighborhood. Abuse, poverty, chaos. Everything around him screamed react, throw a punch, get revenge, stay angry. But he didn't. He trained not just his body, but his patience, his emotions, his focus. He once said, "Every punch I take in the ring is a punch I already took in life. The only difference now is I'm not afraid of it anymore. That's what Stoicism is. It's not pretending life doesn't hit you. It's training your mind so when it does, you know how to take the hit and stay calm.
Not because he was the strongest, but because he had discipline. He didn't fight like a wild man. He fought like a Stoic, focused, calm, unbreakable.
The woman who lost everything and chose peace. This one's not in the history books. She wasn't famous, she wasn't rich, but she was strong in a way most people never see. She lost her husband in a car crash. Her son got addicted and disappeared. She had no one left, except her pain. She could have drowned in it, but she didn't. Every morning she woke up. She wrote down 3 things she could still be thankful for: a warm cup of tea, a bird outside her window, a quiet breath. She wasn't naive. She knew life could be cruel, but she also knew something deeper. I can't control what happened, but I can control what happens next. That's the Stoic mindset. You don't avoid grief, you face it, and you ask, now that this has happened, how can I move forward with dignity? The day I almost lost it. A personal story. Let me tell you something I've never shared before. There was a day I almost broke, not because something huge happened, but because of everything. It was one of those days where bad news kept coming. An unexpected bill. A fight with someone I cared about. I was overwhelmed, angry, number, and then I remembered a single line from Seneca. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. So I paused. I sat still. I took one deep breath, and I asked myself, what part of this is real? And what part am I exaggerating in my head? That moment saved me, because I realized I wasn't being destroyed by life. I was being destroyed by my thoughts about life. So I trained. Not in the gym, but every day, I trained my thinking to pause, to breathe, to ask better questions, and most of all, to never let temporary pain become permanent weakness. This is the truth most people never hear. Life isn't supposed to be easy, it's supposed to test you. Not so you break, but so you learn how to not break. The Stoics never promised comfort. They promised clarity. They didn't say avoid suffering, they said use suffering to grow stronger. If you want to be unbreakable, you have to train daily. You have to stop chasing comfort and start choosing discipline, stillness, perspective. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? That's when you become untouchable. Not because life stopped hurting, but because your mind stopped needing to run from it. You can't control what happens, but you can control what you do with what happens. That's Stoicism. Not coldness, not indifference, but courage. To face life fully and still stay centered. Watch this next video. Your training isn't over yet.